I have a scarf problem, and if you're a woman over 60 with a drawer full of silk squares you never wear, you might have exactly the same one. Not the kind that requires a 12-step program, but a specific drawer-based problem that's been quietly bothering me for 2 years. I own 7 scarves. I wear 3 of them. The other 4 are folded in a bedroom drawer, which is the textile equivalent of a witness protection program, technically present, never seen in public. I know the neck knot. I know the soft drape over the collar. I know the neat little twist and tuck that looks considered for about 40 minutes and then comes undone by noon every single time. I learned those 3 things. I practiced those 3 things, and then I stopped because I assumed that was the full range of what a scarf could do. This spring, I turned out to be wrong. The fashion press had a collective moment about scarves. Hermès, Tod's, Calvin Klein, Ferragamo, all 4 sent scarves down their spring-summer 2026 runway season, and the coverage described the scarf as the biggest accessory story of the season. The word editors kept using was scarfing, which probably isn't destined to become a permanent dictionary entry, but it does at least communicate the scale of the enthusiasm. Every fashion website ran a version of the same story. The scarf is back, and here's how to wear it. Most of those stories were illustrated with images of 22-year-old models doing things with scarves that looked either deeply impractical or like preparation for a wind tunnel test. Interesting to look at. Not enormously useful as guidance for the rest of us. Here's what those editorials mostly buried, though. The most interesting versions of this trend, the ones actually landing in real life, on real women, in real cities, have very little to do with the neck. Strip away the runway theatrics, and you find 5 genuinely useful approaches that elegant women over 60 have been quietly using for years. This is what photographers like Ari Seth Cohen documented in Advanced Style, what Iris Apfel embodied for decades, and what stylists like Linda Rodin have long understood, that ageless fashion is less about following a trend and more about knowing which techniques actually work for a changing body and a fully formed life. The fashion world has caught up. The methods aren't new, the attention is. None of the 5 involve a knot around the bare neck, which, as it happens, is the first thing most of us over 60 quietly stopped finding comfortable anyway. The first is the waist belt. Take a long scarf, silk, linen, or cotton, anything between 80 and 95 centimeters. Fold it lengthways until it is about 6 centimeters wide, and wrap it once around the natural waist over a loose midi dress or a linen shirt. Knot it once at the side, not the center front. Let the 2 ends hang at uneven lengths. Hermès built an entire section of their spring-summer 2026 show around this exact idea, cinching long scarves, what the house calls a foulard in its longer rectangular form, over column dresses that would have read as shapeless without the waist definition. For women whose waistline has shifted over the years, this is one of the more quietly effective tools in mature style, a single horizontal line at the natural waist that creates shape without anything structured or restrictive. Here is the practical note. The scarf needs to be at least 80 centimeters, or the ends will be too short to hang cleanly after the knot. Shorter than that, and you spend the afternoon readjusting it. The length is not a suggestion. The second is the bag tie. A small square scarf, a carré in Hermès terminology, is typically 45 to 65 centimeters, folded into a narrow strip and tied through one handle of a structured tote or shoulder bag. This style has existed since the 1950s, and it spent the better part of the last 2 decades looking slightly tourist-adjacent when done in bold patterned silk. The current version works in solids or quiet patterns in neutral tones. Fold the scarf, loop it through the handle, tie it with a single half knot, and deliberately let one tail hang longer than the other. The asymmetry is the detail that separates considered styling from an afterthought. Matching tail lengths reads as someone who tied the thing and stood back hoping for the best. Uneven tails read as a choice. The third is the hair anchor. Not the full covered head, not the headband worn flat across the crown. Take a long scarf, fold it into a narrow strip, weave it through the hair at the back of the head, and tie it loosely at the nape of the neck, letting both ends fall down the back rather than over the shoulders. 6 centimeters of tail placement is the difference between this reading as tricksy and reading as costume, which is an extremely specific margin, but an accurate one. It works particularly well with shorter cuts, the kind of close crop or bob that many women move to in their 60s, where it adds a visual weight at the back of the head that the cut does not provide on its own. It's worth pausing here and naming the actual point, because it's easy to lose in the detail. Most of us own scarves we're not wearing. Some are in drawers. Some have been living on chairbacks long enough to have acquired a kind of squatter's rights. The reason is almost never that the scarves are wrong. It's that we learned one method, wore that method until it felt tired, and nobody offered a different one. These 5 approaches aren't 5 trends requiring 5 new purchases. They're 5 ways of doing something genuinely useful with what most people already own. The scarf in the drawer isn't the problem. The single-use assumption is. And for women in their 60s specifically, there's a particular freedom in that. Most of us have already accumulated the pieces. What's been missing is the permission to use them differently. The 4th is the jacket detail. A small square scarf, 45 centimeters, is sufficient, folded into a loose triangle and tucked into the breast pocket of a structured blazer, the way you'd position a pocket square. One point should sit just above the pocket edge. The important detail here is tonal. The scarf should sit within the same color family as the jacket, not contrast sharply against it. A bright scarf against a neutral blazer reads as an accent you're drawing attention to. A tonal scarf reads as considered layering. Both are legitimate choices, but they communicate very different things, and it helps to know which one you're making. For daytime occasions, lunch, a gallery visit, anything that calls for what I'd describe as comfortable elegance, the tonal version is almost always the more useful one. The 5th is the shoulder drape. Nothing is tied, wrapped, or knotted. The scarf goes across the shoulders and stays there, functioning the way a light cardigan would when the air is cool, but a full additional layer is more than the situation requires. It also provides the kind of arm coverage that many women over 60 quietly prefer without wanting the weight of a sleeve, practical luxury in the most literal sense. One practical note that matters more than it sounds: the scarf needs enough weight to stay in place. Silk cotton blends and linen scarves with a decent weight, somewhere in the range of a mid-weight foulard, sit where you put them. Pure chiffon migrates. And if you have ever spent an afternoon periodically reclaiming a chiffon scarf from somewhere around your elbows, you already understand why fabric weight is not a detail to overlook. I pulled 2 of the 4 drawered scarves out after I worked through these. One is currently tied to the handle of a bag I have owned for 3 years and never thought looked particularly interesting. It looks more interesting now. The other is trying the waist belt over a linen dress I have always found slightly shapeless and have been on the verge of donating for 2 summers running. It is not shapeless now. The other 2 scarves are still in the drawer. They are chiffon.